Good morning, and let's start with the prayer first. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mriturma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, leaders from the unreal to the real, leaders from darkness unto light, leaders from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Well, good morning and welcome to Spirituality Basics, another session. And Spirituality Basics, as you know, is a platform where we discuss some basic topics on spirituality, primarily with the objective of creating an interest into spirituality. And of course, get some basic knowledge about what we discuss. Now, today's topic is Karma Yoga. We have taken one session on the 4 paths of yoga. It was a combined session. It included all, but I thought that, in fact, the other day Barman was mentioning that it's good that we have one session each on the each path of yoga. So today I am starting off with the Karma Yoga. It's one of the 4 paths, as you know, for enlightenment, and the others are the Gyan Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, and the Raja Yoga. We'll take them up in the next 3 Sundays. So today we will see why Karma Yoga is the most relevant yoga for all of us, what it signifies, and what are some practices that will change your karma to Karma Yoga. And of course, finally, we'll have a 10 minutes meditation session, and then I'll see if time permits, and if you want, I have made a short 8-minute film on Shamlatal, where I visited spiritual retreat. So I'll play the film for you. So Karma Yoga was Swami Vivekananda's favorite yoga. He laid great emphasis on Karma Yoga, on unselfishness. In fact, he famously said that they alone live who live for others, and the rest are more dead than alive. Such a powerful statement. And because he professed about the synthesis of the 4 yogas, he did not say either you just follow Raj Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, or Gyan Yoga, which is the Advaita Vedanta. So he propagated the synthesis of the 4 yogas, and in this synthesis, Karma Yoga occupies the most important place. And when he famously said that each soul is potentially divine, so he meant that you did not go to a temple and pray to God for going to heaven, something like that. He said that God is there, potentially there in all of us. So if you serve humanity, if you serve mankind, you are serving God. And this could be even the path to self-realization. Now, the word karma comes from the root word kri, which means to do. And in the Vedic sense, it simply means the path of action. So we'll take the Vedas first, because we always it's better to start at the root level, which is the scriptures. So the Karma Yoga, as stated in the Vedas, it comes out of the Karma Kanda. In Vedas, we have the Karma Kanda and the Gyan Kanda. Gyan Kanda is the Upanishads, and Karma Kanda are the first 3 parts of the Vedas, which are the Samhitas, the Aranyakas, and the Brahmanas. So the Karma Yoga, as the name suggests, comes out of the Karma Kanda of the Vedas, and it has to do with the chanting of the mantras, doing rituals, and basically you are doing something to attain some defined goals. and those goals could either be spiritual or even material. I mean, the yagnas that used to be done were for material, like for getting more wealth or winning a war, getting more territory for your empire, or it could be for spiritual reasons, for self-realization, for going to heaven, so like that. So this was the karma yoga as given in the Vedas. Now, Lord Krishna, Bhagwan Sri Krishna, in Bhagwad Gita later introduced an absolutely new form of karma yoga to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And we famously know that verse. In fact, if there is one verse in Bhagwad Gita that everyone knows and which most are familiar with, that famous verse in chapter 2, verse 47, that karmanna vadika raste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhurmate sangots karmani. So Krishna tells us not to be interested in the result of our actions, but instead surrender the fruit of your actions. I mean, there he says to me, whereas in the Vedas, the action is used to achieve a particular effect, a particular cause. So, and it could be worldly, or as I said, it could be heavenly also. So there is the basic difference between the definition of karma yoga in the Vedas and what is given in the Bhagwad Gita. But when we talk of karma yoga as one of the 4 paths of self-realization, we always refer to the concept of karma yoga as given in the Bhagwad Gita. And so we can see that karma yoga can either be liberating or entangling. The concept of karma yoga as given in the Bhagwad Gita is always liberating. If you follow that path, you are on your path to self-realization. Whereas in the Vedas, it could be if you're doing the karma for self-realization, it's fine. Otherwise, it could be entangling also. Because even as we know, the Bhagwad Gita is called the 5th Veda. So even whatever is written in the Bhagwad Gita, we can take it as part of the scriptures. So, and Bhagwad Gita, if you see, since it is called the 5th Veda, and we sometimes call it the compilation of all the 4 Vedas. So Bhagwad Gita gives you all the paths. It gives you detail not only of the karma yoga, but it also tells you about the Raj Yoga, which is the meditation, the Gyan Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga. Of course, Bhakti Yoga is definitely there in Bhagwad Gita. So all the 4 paths of self-realization are given in the Bhagwad Gita, but Karma Yoga is the most practical part of the Bhagavad, most practical path for self-realization. In Bhagavad Gita, if you see chapter 6, which is the yoga of meditation, before Sri Krishna tells Arjuna about how to meditate in detail, about doing meditation. Before that, he tells Sri Krishna that before doing meditation, you must do karma yoga. Because he says that karma yoga is the stepping stone to Dhyan yoga. What is important in Dhyan yoga, in meditation? That your mind is absolutely steady. It's unfaltering. And the mind cannot be steady if it is impure. Expecting that if you are expecting some results of your action, thinking about the fruits of your action, it will make your mind unsteady. It will be impure, and then you will not be able to meditate. So 4 things we can take away from that famous verse, Karmanne Vadika Raste. there are 4 things which it tells us. Now, what are they? First, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, do your duty. I mean, it is not only Arjuna, it is in fact directed to all of us. So whatever is given in the Bhagwad Gita, we should take it as something coming from the Bhagwan itself. So he says, do your duty without thinking about the results. Because we all have duties, a different kind of duties as per our social status. We have duties towards our family. We have duties towards our job. We have duties towards the environment, all kinds of duties. So first thing Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, that do your duty. The result is not important, but you must put in the effort, and because the result is not in your hands. Result is dependent on many factors. Let's say, firstly, of course, that's what we think it is. The result is how much effort you put. The result is, of course, dependent on that. And we think that is the only thing. But there are other things also, like your past karmas, what you call destiny. That also sometimes, determines the results of your effort. And then comes the cumulative karma of all the persons involved. Suppose it's a joint effort of many people. So even the cumulative karmas of all the people who are involved in the work, that also sometimes determines the result. And finally, of course, it is the will of God which is there, which determines the result. So this was the first teaching. The second teaching, as you know, the fruits of your action are not for your enjoyment. The results are for the pleasure of God. We are not the owners of what we possess. If you remember that famous story about Swami Vivekananda and that John D. Rockefeller, where Rockefeller had all the wealth, came to Swami Vivekananda, and Swami Vivekananda famously told him that you are not the owner of the wealth, you are just the custodian of the wealth. So whatever we possess, we are not the owners of the wealth. So the results of the action, which is the wealth, we can say, so they are not ours, they are for the pleasure of God. Thirdly, even while working, give up the pride of doership. Kvatritra bhav, rather the katrita abhiman, you can say. The ego part, the pride that I am the doer. So give it up. So we will just see that in little detail later. Finally, he said, do not be attached to inaction, akarmani. Because that was the first thing which happened. Sri Krishna, when Arjuna, he said, no, I will not fight the war. So he chose the path of inaction. So Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that inaction is not the solution. You must act. Action is important. Howsoever burdensome the situation is, do not shy away from work. Act. And the big takeaway from all this is unselfishness. As you see, the underlying current in all these things is unselfishness and basically working for others. Now we can briefly see what are the paradigms, in the 4 yogas, what are the paradigms? Now in Karma Yoga, it says that selfishness in the samsara, selfishness is the problem, and selfishness leads to all our unhappiness. So because if you are working for yourself, for satisfying your own needs, it can never lead to a lasting happiness. And it ultimately leads to frustration, and you are unhappy. We have even seen that Martin Seligman, who was the positive psychologist, in his book Happiness Hypothesis, like he did that experiment where he was a professor. He did the experiment in the class when he told the students, so we'll go and see a movie. So they were asked to plot how much happiness they received, and then next week they were asked to. They said no class today. We'll go to and work for an NGO. So they did some unselfish work. They worked with the children, made them happy. So 6 months down the line, they had forgotten the happiness, which they had forgotten about the movie, which they went to see. But everyone remembered clearly the happiness which they got out of helping others, out of the work which they did at that NGO. So they all remembered that. So it shows that scientifically it is proved that the work that we do for ourselves, the sensory pleasure, the work we do for achieving sensory pleasure, it is not long lasting. It comes and goes. But if we do work for others, some unselfish work, that stays for a longer time. So we can, what we can do, we can direct our energies for the welfare of others, which is an unselfish action. And a very important takeaway from this unselfish action, in fact, it is the only way, is purification of the mind. I mean, when the mind is pure, then the truth that we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are the pure consciousness, that emerges. Because if your mind is impure, that truth will never emerge. And this is possible only through the Karma Yoga. Now in Bhakti Yoga, the paradigm is different. Bhakti Yoga, it says that, we are engaged in satisfying our senses and satisfying the sense objects through the sense objects, and that is the way to our happiness. And the solution there is we have the desires. Presently our desires is directed towards the sense objects. Now to divert the desire and the desire towards the God realization. That the desire is the same, only the focus is shifted from sense objects towards God. So instead of I want this material things, he said I want God. That's all. So this is the Bhakti Yoga paradigm. In the Raja Yoga, the paradigm is all our thoughts are scattered. I mean, that is the reason we are not able to see our true self. And through meditation, we can find a solution to the scattered mind. We can find ekagrata. So that is the solution. And this is the paradigm in Raj Yoga. In Gyan Yoga, the paradigm is that we are not able to see our real self because we do not have the knowledge. There the problem is knowledge. Problem is ignorance rather, because we are ignorant. So the solution is knowledge. So this is the paradigm in Gyan Yoga. So one very important and interesting thing that you notice, that Karma Yoga is the only yoga which is not private. In Raj Yoga, it is your meditation. You're privately doing meditation. It's all to yourself. Bhakti Yoga, it's your private bhakti. Others are not involved. Others may not even know that what kind of a bhakti you are. Gyan Yoga, it is you who is acquiring the knowledge. Others may not be aware of it. Others, of course, could get a benefit of it in Bhakti Yoga, because you are a bhakt. Others may get benefited. If you are doing meditation properly, of course, you will have a meditative mind and others will get benefited. But mostly it is all yours, and others may not also get benefited. But in Karma Yoga, you are engaging with the entire world, with the public. You are directly in contact with everyone in the world. And today, you can see in all of us, work is very important. Can we escape work? Maybe not. Whatever we are doing, and it takes away so much of your energy, whatever we are doing in our secular life, that it leaves very little time. If you want to put some time separately for spiritual work, it leaves very little time or even no time. So spirituality will always be a losing proposition. So I mean, if you look at it practically, if you say, okay, I will divide between my secular world, secular activities and the spiritual activities. So the secular activities will occupy most of the time. Spiritual, I mean, how much time you will be meditating, how much time you will be let's say going to the temple, or how much time you will study about Gyan Yoga. So rest of the time, the majority of the time, what you are doing work. So you are doing karma. So unless you are able to spiritualize your work, it will just not work. The spirituality will always lose. So all our concern, our energy is mostly with work, and the solution is spiritualization of this everyday work, whatever work we are doing, and that's the only way. Because we cannot leave away. That's not the solution, that you leave away your family, you leave away your work, everything, and go to the Himalayas, lead the life of a monk. I mean, that's not the solution, and it can never be the solution. So what Karma Yoga says, that you keep doing whatever you are doing, whatever all of us are doing, but with a different mindset. So, which means spiritualize your work. So all your actions, whatever you are doing for yourself. Now you do it with a different mindset. You do not do it for yourself, your own benefit. And since Karma Yoga is not private, the another benefit is that you are directly helping the community. You are directly helping for the upliftment of the society. It's a direct effect. Whereas in the other form of yoga, other yogas, other paths, so there is no direct impact like that. Like Swamiji's Karma Yoga was based on the famous saying by Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva, which is serve all beings. Service to mankind is service to God. And you have to serve human beings as if they are God, as God. They are God, not knowing them to be God, but thinking of them to be God. So that's the level of thinking that you must have. So if you see, there are 3 levels of Karma Yoga. At the first level is Phalatyaga. Phalatyaga means you renunciate the results. You give up the results. I am doing the work, but the results which I'm getting is not for myself. It is as a result of worship of the Lord. So even the result belongs to the God. It is the renunciation of the result. It is the first level of Karma Yoga. The second level of Karma Yoga is Karma Tyaga, the renunciation of the work itself. It's at a higher level. So you see, I mean, it's getting more difficult and difficult. Even the first stage itself is quite difficult now, because we have a general thinking notion that Karma Yoga it's very easy. So now you see how difficult it is getting. The second stage is Karma Tyaga, which is renunciation of the work itself. So it is saying that it's not saying that I won't do the work, but I will not have a choice of not doing the work. Like Swami Vivekananda said, neither seek nor avoid. So because we have choices about work. Like when a work comes to us, I mean, we have a choice either to do or not do. So if it is the work of God, if you are thinking that what you are doing is the work of God, so then you should do it. You should neither seek nor avoid. And you cannot also say that, I will do it this way or that way. So God's work, you do it in just one way. So work becomes worship. And the third level, the most difficult level, I mean, if you reach this level, then you are already enlightened. It is the as we mentioned earlier, Kvatritva Tyaga, the doership. Because inevitably, we all have this feeling, because right from the beginning, this body-mind relationship is so strong. So right from the beginning, we have this feeling that I am the doer. Whatever we are doing, I am doing it. Because of this deep identification with body and mind. So at this level, the thinking is that nature alone does everything. We are not even the doer. Nature does everything through Maya. And because where our thoughts come, because whatever we do, it originates in our thoughts. So if you see, where do our thoughts come from? And because speech and action follow later. So it bubbles up from the unknown levels of our mind, from the past samskaras. So even this is even recognized in Bhagwad Gita. Sri Krishna, this we mentioned in my session on free will, that prakriteva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvasya, that nature alone does everything. We think we are doing it, but actually it is not. Nature alone does everything, or rather God is doing everything. So if you see a practical guide to Karma Yoga, because it is very difficult to do Nishkam Karma initially. It is very difficult to do. So what is step by step? The first step is stop doing the bad karmas. We saw in the session on the Karma Yoga that whatever we do karma, it is either good or bad or Nishkam Karma. But at first level, we must stop doing, we must identify what is bad karma, which is not as per dharma. So we stop doing the bad karma, first level. And then we must consciously try to do good karma. Very important. But this is not the end of it. I mean, if you keep on doing good karma, but because here, when you are doing good karma, the results, the expectation of the results is there. That is why it is good karma. You are expecting something to be good. You want some good thing to happen. So you are doing it. So that is good karma. But with result in mind, it becomes sakam karma. It becomes dharmic karma. And the third level is the good karma, but without the expectation of the results. This is the nishkam karma, which Sri Krishna tells Arjuna. This is neither expecting the results nor any attachment to the results. Both the things. So this is the third level of. So first level, work is work and worship. Work is there and worship is also there. And work could be either good or bad, whatever. The second level, work as worship. You are doing work as worship to God. So you have to do. I mean, you won't do bad karma to a God. So when you are doing work as worship, so you are doing the all the good karmas, and because at this level you are not seeing the work as work. You are seeing the work as worship. And the third final level is work is worship, where everything you are not doing the work itself. You don't feel that you are doing any work. You are just worshiping God, whatever work you are doing throughout the day. So that is the final level. You are already self-realized if you reach that level. So we can see that Karma Yoga is the most practical of all the 4 yogas, and also it is most relevant for all of us, because most of the time we are doing some form of karma. And but also we saw that it is not easy to implement, because we have been conditioned by so many years of working for ourselves. I mean, whatever we do, when we eat, whatever action we do for ourselves. So to get away from that, to leave that, it's a difficult task. So we say that it's not easy. And but then it is essential also. On one side it is not easy, but on the other side, as I said, that for purification of the mind, which is a essential pre-qualification in all the other paths of yoga, all the other paths, all the 3 paths, purification of mind is required, and that is possible only through karma yoga. So it is there is no escape. Let me put it that way, that there is no escape from karma yoga. And we also saw that it is we keep on doing the same work. It's not that you stop doing work. So you keep on doing the same work, whatever we are doing, but we spiritualize it. And how to spiritualize it? We said that you just change your attitude towards the work. I mean earlier you are doing the work with a different attitude. Now you are doing the work with another attitude. And another big this thing is that when you are doing with an attitude of serving for the God, so whatever is the outcome, then acceptance becomes very easy. Because when you are working for yourself, and if it results in not the desired result what you are working for, so then you feel unhappy. Then comes the other things as anger, greed, everything. If you get the results, then there is more greed. If you do not get the results, it results in anger. But if you are doing it selflessly, then whatever the result comes, you just accept it. The acceptance becomes very easy. So that is the beauty of karma yoga. And as we said, at the final level, it is because all the problem is because of the ego, that I am the doer. At the final level, it is the kvatritra tyaga. That is the doership, the renunciation of even the doership. When it totally vanishes, then you achieve self-realization. So that's about all about karma yoga.